The national unemployment rate stands at 10%, but the rate for young adults in their early 20s is even higher. And given the current economic environment, high school grads are experiencing increased anxiety about choosing the right major that will lead them to the right career. So here to talk about the hottest sectors and careers for the next generation and what majors will best prepare you for those jobs is Jordan Goldman, founder and CEO of Unigo.com. Hey there, Jordan. Great to see you again.
Hey, thanks a lot.
All right, let's start with digital space. There's got to be a lot of jobs in this sector, right?
Yeah, so the digital space is booming. That's kind of something that everyone's recognizing. There are more text messages sent these days each day than there's in the entire population of the world. 1 in 8 couples that marry met online. MySpace and Facebook now has more than 350 million members. 90% of all of Iceland has a Facebook profile. So the digital space is developing really, really rapidly. And when you look at personal computers, it wasn't so long ago that they were introduced. The growth that we've seen is really phenomenal, and the growth that we're looking forward to over the next 10 or so years is equally phenomenal.
So what are some specific types of jobs that people should look into in the digital world?
I mean, everything from mobile application developer to casual game simulator to data miner and social media specialist. You can look at how the digital space has impacted every single part of our lives and try to anticipate a job that's going to move to the forefront. So when you're looking into what college major may be best for you, do something like computer science, do something like social media as that starts to become a noted college major, a path that you can actually study in school.
Almost every field these days has some segment of it that is related to computers, right? So you could actually start out with whatever your interest is, say it's art, and then look at how that works out in the computer world, right?
And this is important because there are a lot of people at home, a lot of kids who love the digital space and love social media, but they don't imagine an actual career coming out of that. But over the next 10 years, there's going to be an explosion of careers directly related to this. So don't just look at it as a hobby. When you're in school, try to gain skills that you can see being put to use in a full-time career in this space, because it's something that a lot of kids really love and are good at.
Absolutely. That's great advice, Jordan. So that sounds like that's pretty much the biggest field. We're going to move down to number 2, which is also growing, the field of advanced medical research. Tell us about the careers that are good there.
So in advanced medical research, right now we have a lot where people are looking for drug and medicine that once you're down with the sickness, this is going to help you with it. But that's going to move away to more preventative medicine, where we're going to be looking at your genes and your DNA. We're going to look at what sort of illnesses you're predisposed to, and we're going to be developing technologies and medicines that will prevent you from ever getting sick in the first place. So kind of a more personalized version of healthcare and personalized biology. So a lot of people are going to be majoring in things like biology and chemistry, the traditional sciences, but there's going to be careers like gene splicer and bioinformatician.
What is that exactly?
That's kind of a mixture of mathematics and predictive modeling and biology and kind of cellular chemistry. So people are going to be using this to analyze your genes and help figure out personalized medicine regimens that are going to help each individual person.
It sounds very interesting, but also a little specific. Do you know what I mean? Like you've really got to choose your classes wisely if those are the careers you want to go into.
Yeah, any of the medical sciences, the traditional paths, are just going to lead to these new careers and these new applications for medicine and technology.
How much can you trust on the school, that wherever you happen to be studying, how much can you trust the guidance there, that your teachers or your professors will tell you, look, this is really what you need to look into, or do you have to do that legwork yourself?
I mean, to some aspect, you can go to the counselors and you can go to the people who are the heads of the departments and ask them, hey, what are the emerging fields that I can use this for? But you're still, in some cases, using textbooks that are 5 and 10 years old.
Right.
So you want to kind of keep abreast of what the newest advances in medical technology are, and using internships over the summer is a great opportunity to take what you're learning but put it in a real-world context where the newest technology is actually at work.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the next hot career on your list, which is a little perplexing to some people. The automotive industry, you say. We keep hearing how it's on the brink of collapse, but now you're saying it could be one of the hottest careers of the future.
Yeah, so right now the automotive industry isn't doing that well, but if you look at the movement in the future towards more energy efficient vehicles and hybrid vehicles, that's going to call for a complete restructuring of the entire model we know of right now for the automobile industry. And President Obama is backing this and pushing a lot of legislation, and there's going to be much tougher rules and guidelines for car production in the future. So people who do look into kind of renewable urban planning as a major, and looking into energy efficiency as that starts to become a major in the sciences, will increasingly have a career helping put these new models of cars together and helping put together new infrastructure on a nationwide basis to accommodate these new vehicles.
So these sound like, a lot of training is needed. Are these jobs that you need graduate degrees for? I mean, what would you recommend?
Yeah, a lot of these do take some level of specialization, but in a lot of the industries with engineering and mechanics can be applied specifically towards automotive, and a lot of the more green specializations, and especially around energy conservation and energy efficiency.
So you don't necessarily have to, you can be an engineering major, let's say, and get one of these jobs in the automotive industry.
Yeah, I think the great thing about all of these are you can still major in fairly traditional fields, but there are new applications keeping in mind kind of new political momentum and emerging technologies.
Right.
They're going to let you take these degrees, but there's going to be a whole lot more jobs available to you as opposed to just kind of the traditional routes.
Right. Yeah, we keep hearing how engineers are in hot demand, not just in the automotive industry, but in general. So that's always a good career or a good major if you can handle it. It's tough. All right. Next on your list of careers of the future, finance. Well, I thought that Wall Street almost collapsed last year, and you're telling me we should go into finance.
Yes. So again, just like with the automobile industry, finance is going through a bit of a tough time right now. But all of the models suggest that this is going to rebound, and it's going to rebound in a particularly strong way. In the future, a lot of financial companies are going to be looking a lot more at real-time data and a lot more predictive modeling to figure out kind of how past performance and future performance interrelate. So using again the technology that's available, the financial industry is going to continually transform, and it's going to continue to be a hot and profitable sector.
Absolutely, and people are always drawn to it. All right, now green-collar jobs. We talked a little bit about this with the automotive industry, greening becoming more and more popular, but it's obviously not just the automotive industry, it's the way we live. It extends to all parts of our lives.
Yeah, President Obama said that under his new legislation, there's going to be 5 million new jobs that are going to be created in the green sector. So this is everything from figuring out how wind and solar energy can be more directly applied to reforming the entire electrical grill throughout the United States. So there's going to be a substantial number of new initiatives that are going to be taking green skills and urban planning skills and changing almost every piece of the structure of our society as we move away from traditional fuel sources.
And so, Jordan, what are some good majors if you want to become a green warrior?
This could be anything from urban planning to chemistry to, again, energy management and energy systems.
In this segment, we're going to ask Jordan to answer some viewer questions from our Good Money mailbag. All right, Jordan, are you ready?
Yep, sounds good.
First question comes from Jesse of New York, New York, and he says, can your list prospective major hurt or help you when first applying to college? That's a good question. They always want to know on those college applications what you plan on majoring in. And who knows when you're a high school senior, right?
Yeah, this is really interesting. Unigo recently teamed up with the Wall Street Journal, and we did a webcast where we asked top admissions officers from colleges all over the country a bunch of questions, and this was one of them. We said, does it matter what you list as your prospective major, or do schools not look at that at all? And most of the colleges actually said they expect, typically you declare your major in your second year of college. They don't expect that you know what you want to do when you come in. They expect that you'll take a large variety of classes, and you'll figure out what your passion is as you go along, and as you learn more about the careers that these majors help you fit into. So the answer is no.
Why do they bother having that question then on the application?
I think they want to get an early inkling of where you think you might be heading, but more than 50% of people put down undecided, and the schools themselves say that this does not play into the admissions process per se. It's just they want a better idea of what you're thinking.
What about you, Jordan? What did you put down as a high school senior?
I was an English major, so having nothing to do with running an online company.
And you stuck with it?
I stuck with it. I went to grad school in English, and you never know where things will take you.
That's right. There you go. And we'll talk about flexible majors later. But all right, this next question comes from Greg, Craig, and he's tweeting in from Boston, Massachusetts, asking, what's the most versatile college major? Well, we just discussed English. That's a pretty versatile one right there.
Yeah, we actually do hear that English is one of the most popular majors, and it tends to be the one that if you look at the direct career track, there's the widest variety of careers that people that were English majors eventually go into. As for the highest paid major, engineering tends to make the cut there. That engineering salaries starting out are about $85,000, whereas if you're an English major, salary tends to start at about $35,000.
History is another versatile one. I've known a lot of history majors who've just ended up with jobs on every end of the spectrum.
Yeah, just the skill sets you learn are broad enough that they can be applied to all these different disciplines.
And what is that skill set exactly? Is it learning to analyze a text? What is it about English, let's say, that allows you to go into so many fields?
Yeah, I think there it's just creative and analytical thinking and solving problems in a broad way. It's not a particular skill like knowing how to fill out a spreadsheet, but it's a way of approaching a challenge and coming up with a creative solution.
All right, sounds good. Now, we have another tweet, lots of tweets today, from Sam of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. How can you make your resume stand out?
So here, I think a lot of people want to put together one generic resume and just throw that around as much as they can. It's really, really important. Put yourself in the position of an employer. This employer gets tons of resumes. They want to see something that shows skill sets directly related to the challenges that they're facing and that they're hiring an employee to fill a role to solve those challenges. So try to do some research on the company you're applying to and try to cater your resume to each individual job to really show the person who's the hiring manager, my skills are directly relevant to the position you're trying to fill, and I'm going to really add something to your organization.
So you really advise not just having sort of the template, this is my resume, you've got to have a couple versions depending on the specific job.
Yeah, have a template, but be open and willing to customize that job by job. Another thing is try any way in you have to that job. Do you know someone? Do you know someone who knows someone? When there's a giant stack of resumes, if someone says, hey, by the way, such and such is applying, take an extra second, odds are they're actually going to take a couple extra minutes. Or just put your application kind of heads and tails above the rest because of that personal recommendation.
Do you recommend someone listing an objective on their resume? Because I know the jury's kind of out on that one.
It could go either way because you don't necessarily know the objective of the employer. So you could say, I'm looking to do this, and the person who's the hiring manager may say, well, that's not exactly a fit. So it can be a little risky.
All right, so sometimes it pays to leave some things open. Don't get too specific.
Yeah.
All right, Ellen writes in from Somerville, Massachusetts, asking, what are some of the best ways to impress on a job interview? Obviously, a lot of people today are worried about jobs, understandably, so we're going to give them the best advice we can. What do you think, Jordan?
I think the big thing here is to do as much research on the company in advance and to come into a job interview both knowing about the company, knowing the challenges it's faced, and knowing its successes, and also having one or two original ideas for ways that you could personally help this company, how your experiences in the past can be directly applicable. Because if you're a hiring manager and someone comes in and they know about your organization, they're passionate about it, and they have original ideas, that shows you this is someone who, when you're in my organization, is really going to add something. You're not just going to sit at the back and only do what you're told. You're passionate, you're articulate, and you're going to go someplace.
So you really, really have to do that research. You really can't get away with just winging it.
I mean, it's a lot better if you do come prepared, and if you can figure out a way to show the employer how you think. That the way that you think, the way you tackle problems is different and unique and a real value add. Just going in and hoping that you're going to answer the questions they ask you and you're going to wing it, the person who's prepared is going to stand out a whole lot more and be a lot more likely to get that position.
So you really think employers today are looking for that original thinker, that employee who's going to think outside the box?
Especially in a tough economy, there are fewer employees to do sometimes a larger number of tasks.
Right.
So they need each employee to be the best possible kind of resource for that spot.
All right, Jordan, thank you so much for taking the time to answer our viewer questions and
Thanks
all your valuable advice. If you have any questions for Jordan or any other of our experts regarding your finances, go to our website at abcnews.com/business.
ABC News Now. Good to know.